I like everything. Really like it.
All right, well, it's 3:05 and according to my run of show, that's when we're gonna start. So we're gonna start. Thank you for coming, spending a little time with us on a Friday afternoon. And you've probably heard a lot of buzz. You certainly, if you came from off out of the neighborhood, you notice there are certain challenges in getting here. We're going to give an overview of a lot of what's going on. And really, my name is Tony Fiorillo. I'm technically Dr. Anthony Fiorillo. I'm the Executive Director of the Museum of Natural History and Science. And when we began thinking about our renovations that are coming here, and we'll get into that in a minute as to what those details mean, one of our first steps was to reach out to our neighbors, the peer institutions around us about our changes, because they should know what's going on here, because they were going to be so impactful. And as a result, we learned some of what they're doing. So we not only received the support and encouragement for the challenges ahead, it was an opportunity for us to strengthen the infrastructure of this museum community. We have a museum to the right of us, a museum to the left of us. We've got this beautiful park in front of us. We have a really nice campus, community campus. And so today you're going to learn not only about our renovation efforts, but you're going to learn about Explorer's new learning and some of what they're doing. You'll learn about the Albuquerque Museum's new cultural exhibition, which is coming later this summer. And of course, it's just across the road. Well, it used to be just across the road. There's a little detour to get there. And of course, the city of Albuquerque's efforts to better connect our institutions with the rest of the city through the rail trail, which is another construction project. Taken together, I'm confident the changes you'll hear about will not only improve the museum experience for our visitors, but will contribute to making sure the entire Old Town neighborhood remains one of Albuquerque's most vibrant and dynamic communities. And with that, I will introduce the other panelists that are here to discuss some things specific. As I said, I'm Anthony Fiorillo, Executive Director of this museum, and I'll talk about closure details, renovation overview, offsite education activities, and plans for reopenings. Jennifer Turner, the Director of Municipal Development, the City of Albuquerque, will be talking about the rail trail, construction process, and connectivity with other projects. Andrew Connors joins us. Andrew Connors, the Executive Director of the Albuquerque Museum, will be talking about what's going on over there. Nira Clower, Director of Development and External Relations of Explora, will be talking about an incredibly generous gesture that Explora is doing for our membership, as well as what's going on right next to us with an overview of that construction project. And we'll wrap. The other person on the panel is Sarah Bush, our new CEO of the New Mexico Museum of Natural History Foundation. And she'll be talking as well about what our members can look forward to as this closure approaches and then as we reopen, and what's going on with the gift shop, as well as our closing weekend events. So speaking of closure, I guess it's my turn to talk. We close, August 3rd is the last public day. Construction starts August the 4th. And we anticipate that our closure will last about 7 months. There was a lot of work that went into the timing on this. So our goal was to avoid the busiest part of our programming schedule during the summer, while doing our very best to ensure that schools will have the opportunity to book field trips during the 2025-26 school year. Our first phase of work, and really it's what is launched everything on our side of the equation, was we are a 40-year-old building. And as a result of that, There are some older building issues, and one of them was that our main sewer line is in trouble and needs to be replaced. And this is to accommodate the future growth of where we want to take our museum. During this phase, water to our main building will be shut off, meaning that there will be no on-site programming for around 2 months. And once the water comes back on, we will start to phase in some programming in the planetarium, which will not be impacted by the construction project. And by the way, the sewer line runs right through essentially the heart of this museum. So it was very difficult to come up with a plan to work around that. But the good news is when we started to realize that there were all these projects on the shelves that we wanted to look at someday, it seemed like now was the time. One of those projects was the shift to some of the visitor-facing changes. We're cleaning and replacing the skylights. There are 2 of them to give the museum a more natural light. And if you have not been here in the afternoon, the light that comes through, what little light comes through those current skylights, really brings color and vibrance into the atrium and the public spaces. And with the new skylights, it will, I believe, it will glow. And we're confident that this will improve the visitor experience, and really the best place, if you're here on the afternoon, will be on the 2nd floor in the atrium. Like I said, the sewer line comes through the heart of the building. It was an obvious opportunity to upgrade our lobby. And we have several plans not several plans, we've had several conversations with all of the stakeholders on what a lobby renovation would look like. If you came in here, the first thing you see are 2 counters, and we've seen that visitors are a little confused. There's a counter over here for membership, a counter over here to basically buy your tickets for anything you want to do in the museum. We're going to modernize that experience and improve the visitor experience from pretty much the moment they come in the front door. That's the proposed. Yes, this is the existing one. And so, like I said, you have 2 counters. This is our current floor plan. This is the retail space number 6, and then you walk into the atrium. So now if you can give me the next one, what we're doing is this is a straight entrance into a ticket space. It's a shared counter between membership and purchasing tickets to various features. We are expanding our retail space into this space. And we're taking down a couple of walls, again, to really create efficiencies and wayfinding for our visitors when they come in. And while I've already mentioned that the programming in the planetarium will resume once the water comes back into the building. And our exhibits are the backbone of our museum. So we'll be taking this opportunity to basically refresh some of our exhibits, update some of our exhibits, and clean some of our exhibits. And it's interesting, we learned what exhibits we better not touch because there's such a public response to it. And one of them is the elevator, one of them is the cave, and another one is the volcano. And I'll stand here now and tell you they might get clean, but they're still going to be here when we reopen that. We will have a temporary exhibit called Armored Animals, and it will be the first exhibit, traveling exhibit in our renovated traveling exhibit space. And through the closure, the key point is while this building is closed, we are still in business. And what does that mean? It means our educators have been very aggressive about finding other venues to deliver programs. So if you have a library near you, for example, check the schedule because we will be there. We're also doing there's something called Wonder on Wheels. It's a giant RV. It's a giant because I drive a Prius. And it will be renovated to tell a geologic history of New Mexico story that will be traveling around the greater Albuquerque area. The nice thing, or the brilliance of this is that the content in the WOW van will meet 3rd and 4th grade curriculum standards. So teachers will have an incentive to get on a schedule to have the WOW van come and visit the school. So again, we are still in business even if the building is closed. Another thing that's happening is for the state library system, we have a banner program exhibit that rural libraries can obtain on loan from the state library. And above all, I want to just also touch on we are a research, the legislative mandate that set up this museum includes a research agenda. Across the street is where our collections are, across the street is where our researchers are, and they will continue to work. So we will work with the media to make sure when we have innovative results that you will be learning about that through our local media. And we will continue to publish and push our understanding of the natural world forward. There'll be a Q&A at the end, but at this point, it's my pleasure to introduce show the lobby, but yes, Jennifer Turner, please.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon. I'm so excited to be here today. My children rarely get excited about anything that I do, but they are like, wow, Mom, you get to go talk at the museum? Like, you guys are cool, just so you know that. So I'm Jennifer Turner. I'm the director of the City of Albuquerque Department of Municipal Development. I like to say we're the hard hat department. We oversee construction projects all around the city. And today I was at a job site over lunch, so I apologize. I didn't get a chance to go and change into something more formal, but we're working on a really exciting project down at 98th and Amole Mesa, and I was on site, so it's exciting. But today I'm not here to talk about that. I'm actually here to talk about the rail trail, and I think many of you have already seen some of the construction impacts that bringing the rail trail into Sawmill and the Museum District mean for the city. So I want to start just with a quick overview of what the rail trail looks like. This is a 7-mile loop. You can see the 2 miles that run along the Bosque in that kind of white cream color. And then in red is the trail that we've already figured out the alignment for. And we here are standing at the crossroads at Hold Down and Sawmill, where the red arrow meets that kind of turquoise color arrow. And so you can see this is 7-mile loop. And we're building it in many, many different phases as budget and our design team allows. And with that, I just want to do a quick introduction. We have Scott Perkins here. He's from Wilson Engineering, and he's one of the many design partners that the city has on the rail trail, and he's an engineer. So if you have any specific questions about the project, he can answer them. The next slide. So the rail trail, it's not just a bike trail. And so whenever I start talking about it, I love bike trails, my kids love bike trails, but it's really, it's more than that. It's a social equity infrastructure project that is about increasing green space, of course, but also expanding economic opportunities for workers and businesses, because a good chunk of the trail goes into some of the most socially disadvantaged communities in Albuquerque. And so we're really excited for the economic opportunity associated with the trail. We're adding, as I said, 5 miles of safe pedestrian and cyclist infrastructure for commuters and families. And then we also want to nod to the history and the culture of many of these neighborhoods and reconnect communities that were for many years divided by the railroad. And then, of course, we always want to grow public space acreage for community-based programming. And activate and develop vacant lots and buildings, and then finally improve safety. Next slide. Okay, so the first segment we kicked off of the rail trail is actually our neighbor here. It's the Sawmill section between Mountain and Bellama. And the trail has a lot of art on it. These are some archways that, if you see how the light hits them, will show a flamenco dancer, which is a nod to the history of the area. And then you'll also see on the trail, those are solar lights. We're really doubling down on a solar infrastructure for the trail. And that is under construction and will be complete in October. And everyone here that comes to the museum will get to walk along the trail. So next slide. And then here's just an example shot of all the trees and the plantings and what the trail will look like as one cycles down it. Okay, so the next slide is really what I think most of you are interested in is, and when we started the rail trail, you know, it was about the trail itself, but then we came to this part of town and we realized we had to get people across Mountain. And so rather than just do a simple crosswalk, we really wanted to invest in the most safe and cutting edge, if you will, infrastructure, which is a roundabout or a traffic circle. So the fully signalized intersection that you see today is going to be replaced with a roundabout, which hands down is the safest and frankly most beautiful infrastructure that we can put in here. And so even though it's kind of rail trail adjacent, we really wanted to take the opportunity to, again, improve safety. It slows traffic down. You can't run those red lights because you would hit the roundabout. There won't be any red lights. So it slows folks down. It's better for greenhouse gas emissions by reducing them, and it's safer for pedestrians. And so we just started that project. That's why Mountain is closed 2 weeks ago, and we're hoping it will be finished in October. So I was just asked, will it be done by Balloon Fiesta? I really, really hope so, because every tourist is going to be asking me about it otherwise. But we've already had some construction, not problems, but we've had some unmarked utilities and just some issues we've had to work around. So, but we're again targeting October. So this is the engineer plan of the roundabout. And then next slide. And so this is what a rendering of what it will look like. And note in the center, we're reserving that space for public art. It's not going to be that piece. But we just wanted to represent that it's not just going to be flagpoles and look kind of sad. It's actually going to be a beautiful space activated with public art. And we think, given we're in the museum district, it's really the perfect opportunity for that. So the next slide, I just wanted to show a little bit about the construction disruption. So you'll see 19th and Mountain is closed down, and so you'll be able to access the Albuquerque Museum parking lot by coming up 19th. That lot will fully remain open, and then the other sections of Mountain up to Tigway Park will remain open during the construction. And again, we're trying to clear up the closures as quickly as possible. So just in closing, I wanted to say thank you to all of our museum partners here, because for the Albuquerque Museum, it worked closely with us on the closure, so we minimize impact to their visitors as much as possible. The Natural History Museum actually donated some we donated some land for the rail trail, and then also Explora. Also, we were able to obtain some land from them as well. So, and I just want to close by saying there's a lot of disruption, I understand, but I think this is a great problem to have. That's standing outside, I can see the new Explora, Briante going up, the rail trail, as well as the roundabout. And then we also have our Sawmill streetscape improvement. If folks have been in front of Sawmill, they've noticed the road closures there. And that's a complete overhaul of all the underground utilities, as well as the sidewalk, ADA access, and we'll be beautifying the area in front of Sawmill. So with all of these changes, I think this time next year, it will look very differently. And I really think it's a fitting improvements for such a special part of Albuquerque. So, I think questions are at the end, is that right? I'm happy to answer them now, but I can take. Yeah,
Thank you. And it's a pleasure to introduce our next panelist, Dr. Andrew Connors, from the Albuquerque Museum.
Thank you so much, Tony. It's so great talking to the neighborhood. I think one of the great things that's happening in this neighborhood is that we've had these museums for years, the museum campus with Teaguish Park in the middle, and Old Town is also seeing an incredible revitalization. And there are a lot more things now that are available for locals. When I first moved to Albuquerque, I'm an outsider, I have to admit. When I first moved to Albuquerque, Old Town really was seen by many of us as just poor tourists. But I think we're really creating a really powerful neighborhood here. And so I appreciate Jennifer and all of the investment in this area, and certainly in the Sawmill District. It's incredible. What I do want to say is that the Albuquerque Museum will be open, and we will be open through all of this time. And our regular hours are Tuesday through Sunday, 9 to 5. And we do have lots of free public hours. Every Sunday morning, we're open free from 9 to 1. The third Thursday of every month, we are open from 5 until 8:30 in the evening with free public programming, usually music or theater or spoken word, hands-on art activities, tours of the exhibitions. And then the first Wednesday of every month, we are also available free all day. So we will continue to be offering all of these programs for the next couple of months. The only real change to our operation, and as Jennifer mentioned, the city enabled us to paint out what used to be a bus stop on Mountain Road. So the bus stop that's just to the north of the Albuquerque Museum is now our official tourist bus stop, school bus stop. So we really want to get kids as close to the museum as possible when they're coming in school buses. And so that drops them right into the north side of the sculpture garden so that they don't have to cross a road to get to the museum. Other than that, all of our other visitors, we are encouraging to approach from the south, from probably Lomas up 19th Street and then into the parking lot that way. But we really appreciate this sense of community that we're all in this together. And I do hope that we will be able to provide some space opportunities for the Natural History Museum to provide educational opportunities at our building as well. I know Explora has such a wealth of great classrooms that I know that that's first priority, but we'd like to offer that as well. What I did bring today is the museum exhibition schedule. And if you'd like to take one or multiple copies of it, this gives an indication of what the museum is offering to the public. And so all of these exhibitions are open at this point. The Light Space in the Shape of Time exhibition opens at the closes on the 20th of July. And then our next major exhibition that Tony was hinting at is an exhibition that comes to us from the National Gallery of Berlin. And that is called Modern Art and Politics in Germany, 1910 to 1945. So that is a perfect exhibition to demonstrate our two major educational focuses. We're both an art museum and a history museum. And it gives me great pleasure that our curator of history, Dr. Alicia Romero, is here today. And also Magali Jimenez-Baca, who is our curatorial assistant. It's great having him here. And also, Aaron, did I see you come in? Yes, and Aaron Gardner. Probably those of you that are more familiar with our local museum here may not be aware of the wonderful job that Aaron Gardner does as the site manager of Casa San Isidro, which is our historic house in Corrales. If you haven't been to Casa San Isidro, Aaron and his team have done an incredible job of making it a powerful visitor experience with a great facility. Kate, thank you so much for organizing all of the tours as well at Casa. I think the turnout here from our museum is an indication of just how enthusiastic we are about the opportunities to serve our community. And during this time period, we hope that people will continue to see the museum district as a vital place to visit. And we hope that all of you will too. And if you have any questions or would like additional information about our exhibitions, I would encourage you to take one of these. The museum loves to bring in national and international exhibitions. but also we have an increasing skill, thanks to Dr. Romero, at telling local stories. And telling the stories in particular, just last month we opened an exhibition celebrating the 100th anniversary of the Special Collections Library, which is the oldest of our public library facilities. And Alicia not just told a story of a building, but she told the story of the people that have vitalized that building and served our community for 100 years. So we have a great opportunity to tell a variety of stories, from the big international ones to the much more closely focused humanitarian, human stories of our neighborhood. So I hope that you will feel comfortable coming to the Albuquerque Museum. And if you haven't for a while, and you need dinosaurs, our front desk was tempted, starting August 4th, to put a little plastic dinosaur on the front desk, so that finally we can say, as visitors come to the museum, are you the museum with the dinosaurs? Because that's the question that our front desk probably gets asked most. No, we are not the museum that usually has dinosaurs, but while the museum that does regularly have dinosaurs is closed, we might just have to have one plastic one on the desk. I hope you're not offended by that. But thanks so much for your support of the museum, and it's great to have this community together.
Again, I mean, I hope you're hearing that we're here, we're in business, and we're here to serve our community. The other thing I heard was, I hope you also appreciated the community spirit here, that there's actually almost a competition amongst our neighbors as to who could help us the most. With that, it's my pleasure to introduce our other neighbor who's helping us out. Representing Explora is Nora Clower, and she'll tell you all about what's going on with those guys.
Thank you so much. Thanks everyone for having us. Well, first of all, we are super excited to welcome the Natural History Museum members at Explora starting August the 4th. Couldn't be more happy to extend the museum and make sure that everyone is still able to come to what I love that Jennifer referred to as the museum district. We've been talking about the area as a museum district since we started with the first expansion, which is the teen center, and now certainly with Brillante, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. So first and foremost, thank you for reaching out. Thank you for the partnership. We're really excited to have everyone there. And so you remember that maybe right before COVID, actually, we started on the first phase of our Cradle Through Career STEAM Learning Campus Initiative. And the first part was X Studio, and that's the one that faces right here on the corner. And X Studio opened in 2023. It's our Teen Workforce Development Center. It's been open for just a little over 2 years. We're excited to say that we're serving over 7,000 teens in that space. Right now, that center is completely free all the time. They have a little bit of different hours just because teens seem to have different hours than elementary school age children. And so we've been really excited with that expansion. And then the second phase of our Cradle Through Career STEAM Learning Campus is going to be Brillante. Now Brillante will be right behind here. We broke ground last November, but officially started digging dirt just last month. So we're thrilled that we're finally being able to do that. And that's going to be an early childhood center. We have 2 pilot classrooms currently in Explora that are operating 2-year-olds and then 3 to 5-year-olds in that space. And so I know that all the campers certainly our director of education will be thrilled to have that space back. So there's more camps and more birthday parties and all the things that typically take place in that spot. But Brillante will serve 100 families and it'll be infant through 5 years old. Thanks to great MOU with CNM, we will also be the practicum lab for CNM teaching students. So teaching students will be able to finish their practicum and will also help with the next generation of early childhood educators. So we couldn't be more thrilled, especially in this museum district. Just think of children growing up in a place where they can come see the dinosaurs, come see the art, come see Explora, and of course the park and all of the other amenities around us. I'll be here for the Q&A, and thank you for having us. I'm so glad to be here all together. Thanks.
Thanks. There's so much energy. It's great. And so our last panelist is Sarah Bush, brand new CEO of the New Mexico Museum of Natural History Foundation.
Thank you. Thank you, Tony, and thank you everyone for being here. I know that I'm standing between you and the weekend, so I'll try to keep this brief. But Jennifer, I appreciate you calling us cool, and we will try to live up to that. I first wanted to extend a heartfelt thank you to the community members that are with us today, to our foundation and museum members, to our board members, and all of those who have supported us through the years. The foundation is really fueled by the passion and the generosity and the community's belief in our mission, so we're grateful. You're really the reason that we can dream bigger, dig deeper, and to continue telling the story of New Mexico's natural wonders. And so on behalf of the entire foundation team, thank you for being a part of our evolution. I wanted to address the question I've heard the most since coming here, and it's what's happening to my membership. And so I wanted to reassure you that we're going to continue memberships for the entire length of the closure. So for 7 months on to what you already have, so that you won't lose a day of benefits, and that those same exciting events and perks will be here when you get back. Also, as Nira mentioned, our friends and neighbors have been incredibly generous in allowing our current members to take advantage of basic admission over at Explora. And then last but not least, the Department of Cultural Affairs has been also incredibly generous in allowing our members to visit the 16 museums and cultural sites across the state, including the National Hispanic Cultural Center right here in Albuquerque. I want to also be clear that we're not going to be losing momentum, and we're going to have a lot of opportunities to stay connected during the closure. And so we invite you to come celebrate us on August 3rd on that closing day from 10 to 4. We're going to have special activities here at the museum. We're going to fill a time capsule that's going to get buried that we can unveil in the future. And then we'll have all types of different events that day, including free movies in the Veris Research Dinah Theater. If you also would like to mark your calendar, September 21st will be our Tyrannosaurus, so a 5K that's family friendly. We would love to invite you to lace up your sneakers and join us for that. And then on March 7th, we'll host the Chocolate Fantasy, which is our signature gala and one of Albuquerque's most delicious events. So we'll continue to have these different community collaborations and events. And so if you'd like to sign up to be part of our newsletter, we'll make sure to keep you informed of those during the closure. And then in terms of upgrades, our gift shop is getting a facelift, and so it gives you exactly 7 months to save up for a reopening shopping spree when we return. And with that, I think I can go ahead and turn it back to Tony, but I'll say that we're incredibly grateful for your ongoing support, and that we look forward to welcoming you back and to inviting more wonder, discovery, and science that we have to share. So thank you.
Okay, that kind of concludes our overview, and now we'll entertain any questions that may have come up.
With the renovation of the museum, are you considering adding any physical security enhancements? We didn't have this problem 20 years ago, but now you have active shooters. So are you doing anything to like prevent that? Like physical enhancements?
We have, you may not have noticed, but we have actually increased the number of security cameras around our campus. And I believe, if I understand it, and if I've got this wrong, but there are poles around this neighborhood that if a shot goes off, it is identified and it goes right to the police station. So there are steps that all of us have taken to improve the safety of the neighborhood.
The reason why I ask is the doors. I don't know if you've ever seen them try to lock the doors. There's no quick way of locking these front doors. You really have to like bend down and plug an element for each door.
I'm
Like,
not sure.
usually, like when you do a lockdown, you have an easy, quick way of locking down a building. In this facility, there's no blocks, they're not easy to lock in. It would probably take 15 minutes to lock down those doors. It's just a question.
And it's certainly something, that concern is certainly a valid one that we'll have conversations about, but it's not part of the current conversation.
No, I just wondered if that was part of it.
But we, as I said, we have increase the number of security cameras, and rapidity of reporting. And those are steps we have done. Yeah, James.
I have a question, I guess, for Jennifer, because I was noticing in local news coverage over the past several days or so that yes, the city has approved a big project that Heritage is going to be doing in the general sawmill area, adding hotel accommodations and extended stay facilities. And so in other words, it's at times it feels like this is an area that doesn't need any more projects, but nevertheless, opportunity arrives when it arrives. So I wondered if you could enlarge a little more.
Yeah, so I'm loud. My kids will tell you that I'm loud, and I do not need a microphone ever. Yes, the Albuquerque City Council recently approved the issuance of industrial revenue bonds for Heritage, which is the developer behind the Sawmill District, and then the Hotel Chaco, and then I don't know if folks have been to the food hall now at Uptown. I think it just opened like 2 weeks ago. But yes, there will be more development. There'll be extended stay, I think another hotel, and just lots more activity in this neighborhood. We struggled at the city. Do we want to do this all at once and know it's disruptive in terms of city projects, or do we want to space it out so that everyone's miserable for forever? And we decided, well, let's just pull off the Band-Aid, we're literally Sawmill, Explora, Rail Trail, and the Roundabout are all happening at once. And so it's painful, but it will be over. As far as the private projects that Heritage is doing, those I don't know the timing on. I'm curious myself about those because it is a lot of projects going on, and so I'll definitely look into exactly the timing. But literally those approvals just happened, and I know they do take many, many years to get underway. And so, although we always support economic development, fortunately, I'm not wearing the hard hat on those job sites. That would be Jim Long and Heritage doing that.
It's a little hard to nail down the locations of what it is that they're proposing to do in March. A little on that in terms of just which tracks are. I mean, obviously, we know what Explorer is working on right now. Where else is there?
Is where Heritage is putting all of that? Yeah. I think something is going where there's that parking lot that always floods in front of where they did the Van Gogh Museum. Something is going there. I'm looking at Scott because you might actually know a little bit more about where those are going. Any closures we get notice of, and they have to go through my department. We have a barricade map online, and we also work directly with Google Maps, so you can see like, oh, Mountain is closed at 19th. And so we've received no requests for any barricading yet, so I think it's a little far out. But I know they are planning something big at the flooded parking lot with the Van Gogh exhibit. For lack of a better term, but I don't know, Scott, if you know exactly where.
I don't know
The first two projects that are on that schedule of the 3 projects are going to be on the parking lot that's directly north of the charter school. And then the warehouse that's currently there that used to hold Mama's Minerals, all of that is going to be demolished. And so the 2 buildings are going to be on that property on the east side of 20th Street.
It seems like there's ultimately be some really interesting linkages to spatial.
Yeah.
People who are visiting the community and special events and all kinds of things. So it's going to be intense.
Yes.
At the very least.
Hi, I'm such a proponent of public art, and I just wanted to throw this out there. If the city might consider dinosaurs being, New Mexico dinosaurs especially, in this stretch, like the dinosaur trail or dinosaur footprints, is that dinosaur element maybe something we should incorporate into the public art aspect?
I think it's the biggest proponent right there.
Just because I wanted to say dino and the roundabout, like that was definitely a goal for me to say. So yes, we are the biggest proponent of public arts. Right, we just completed a census of public art around the city, and you can look by council district and look at all the art that that is around the city, and that's available. I don't have the website, but it's available online. Our design team has designated specific spots along the trail for public art, and we're working closely with Sherry Bergerman, who ran it forever, has retired, and so now Matt Carter is overseeing it, and we're working closely with them on bringing as much public art to the trail as possible. And as I said, I love dinos, but I don't get to pick. but I'll definitely convey the message that when we go out for those solicitations for public art on the trail, that they consider a dino theme. So I endorse that.
Are there any other questions? Yeah,
As far as the May 4, are you gonna be able to use any of that tile, or is it all gonna be torn out? You can't salvage any of it?
the travertine
Yeah.
is fragile enough that we don't anticipate being able to remove those pieces intact. But once that construction happens, we'll see what does come out intact and possibly create some facade of sorts to keep that. But we don't anticipate being able to reuse that. The granite that you see through the atrium zone, we actually do have that in stock. So we expect to be able to replace that. All right, well, thank you for coming. Check various websites to see what's going on, including ours. And like I said, have a good weekend. Thank you.